know, it's been 2 weeks since I last talked to you. I was out of town last week, so I apologize for not getting a video up, but I am back and the sun is out and it is a beautiful morning. So before we jump into the video for today, I want to remind you to make sure that you like and subscribe so that you don't miss any future content. Just click that little red button that's down there below and make sure you hit the notification bell, because that will send you an email or somehow notify you every time I release a new video so that you don't miss any content. Please feel free to share this channel, these videos. Also, if in watching these videos you would like me to come and speak at your church event, at your women's retreat, to your youth, something like that, I am more than happy to do that and available for speaking engagements. So you can always send me a message or send me a direct message through Instagram profile. Link is on my channel, so feel free to go there. Thanks for tuning back in. So I've been pondering this idea this last week about the narratives that we tell ourselves, the narratives that we live with. As a therapist, I talk with my clients a lot about unhealthy narratives that they have about their life. You know, I'm never gonna amount to anything. I don't fit in. I'm not lovable. I'm damaged goods. Things like that. And for a lot of people, the narrative that they live with hinders their ability to move on with their life. And that's usually the people who end up in counseling because they've gotten stuck. And so they seek professional help. But there's also people, I was realizing this week like myself, who have come to believe an unhealthy narrative, but have kind of integrated that narrative so much into their life that it's almost just an accepted is and doesn't necessarily hinder in the same way. It's not this huge block and barrier to moving on with your life or to being successful that it feels like, oh, that's a narrative I need to release or reject. But it is a narrative that causes problems. And the narrative that I have been living with is that I'm just kind of a socially awkward person. And I've talked about this before in my video on being an introvert. It's not that I don't think I am an introvert, because I know 100% that I am. An introvert and extrovert is simply just how you process stimuli, how you perceive things, how the world comes into your brain and your body. It's not like we attach certain social stigmas to those words, but they really just mean how your brain processes stuff. With this narrative that I'm kind of awkward, I am socially anxious, and I'm not really very good at making friends. And the funny thing is that growing up, that was a narrative that really hindered me. It stopped me from engaging in social activities that maybe I would have wanted to because my anxiety was so high. And that anxiety was very real. But I was choosing to accept and to claim that over myself. And as I've become an adult, I've just embraced it. Like, it doesn't make me anxious anymore. I'm just like, I'm the kind of awkward girl over here. Sorry, that's who I am. And embracing it has allowed me to just move on, to not feel quite as stuck with that narrative. But the problem is that it's not a narrative or not an identity that was given to me by God. That was one that I constructed based on my negative experiences as a way to explain how I was perceiving the world and my social situations. And then the enemy gets in and starts to repeat this lie over and over and over again, to the point where every situation you're in, that lie just all of a sudden becomes like the narrative of your life. And it's funny because I remember when I first moved back to Washington after I had completed grad school, moved back here, and I got invited by a good friend to be part of this association, I guess, called Business and Professional Women. Was really excited to go. I was a young professional, having just graduated from graduate school and, trying to make my way in the world. So I was really grateful for all of these connections. but I was so stinking nervous to go. And I thought, okay, well, there's dinner. I can do dinner. Like, we're gonna be sitting at a table. You might make some small talk, but at least there's food, and you know, you don't have, like, it's not weird if you're not talking because you're eating. Like, there's some socially acceptable reasons that you're not talking. Listening to a speaker, I could do that. I can sit and listen and take notes and engage with the people at my table if there was some kind of small group discussion time. But I remember this one time in particular where, and I don't remember if it was an exercise the speaker had given or just part of the structure of the evening, but we were told to kind of do almost like speed dating, where you would just go and kind of connect with people and share about your business or your work and just network. Let me tell you, that was the most nauseating idea that I could have ever imagined. Like, sitting at a table discussing something that we all just heard, I can do that. But just getting up and going and talking to people and telling them about my life and that was not for Matina. So you know what I did? I walked my little self to the bathroom and I hid for 10 minutes. Just hiding in the bathroom, legit. Not going to the bathroom, just hiding in there. Because I could not do it. Now, because I'm a therapist, I recognize anxiety is a real thing, and I was absolutely experiencing real anxiety, real nervousness, real actual feelings of being nauseous and not wanting to do that thing. But those were coming from this narrative that I had been telling myself that I can't do that because I'm socially awkward. I didn't need to claim that over myself. And the more I did, the more I believed that that's who I was. And like I said, as I got older, and in the last few years, I've just come to kind of embrace that. I'm like, this is me, this is who I am. But it's also not who I am. Not who I am at the core, not who God made me to be. When He designed me with all my personality and my quirks and my interests and my passions, He didn't go, oh yeah, and socially awkward, let's make her that too. Like, no, that's not who I am. And it's interesting because as I've been thinking about it this week, there's a song, a worship song called Reckless Love. And you know, it's talking about how much God pursues us and how much God loves us and what lengths He will go to make sure that we know that we are loved and chosen and wanted. And one of the lines in the song is, all He won't kick down or lie He won't tear down to come after you. And the cool thing about the way that God works is when He wants to do something in your life, He often does things in a completely radical way. It's not like He comes in and says, okay, here's this lie you've been believing. Let's kind of switch it up. Let's do a little bit of truth telling. Let's remember who you are. No, He like demolishes that lie, stomps on it, and destroys it because He's like, that's not who I made you to be. Stop living in that lie. Stop claiming that over yourself. I was at a conference this last week where Angie Ritchie, who is the president of Life Pacific University, spoke, and she was talking about this idea of when we get in agreement with things that we don't need to be in agreement with. I had gotten in agreement with this belief, this statement that I'm socially awkward and can't really relate to people. And that's how I've gone through the world. And it's like, it's time to get out of agreement with that because that's not who God made me to be. That's not who I am. And I was at this conference this last week. One of the things that was most life-changing about it is that there was not a single moment in the 3 days that I was there that I felt awkward, that I felt intimidated, that I felt like I didn't belong. Even the kind of just random mingling times, right? You show up, you check in, and then everybody's just kind of sitting in this lobby area of the church, mingling and talking. And I mean, we'd been on conference calls for the last 6 months, but there are 44 ladies, and it's not like you've actually met with any of these people. And we're just mingling, and normally, in the past, that would have made me feel so uncomfortable. Even if I was embracing the discomfort, I would have felt anxious. I would have not really known where to stand or who to talk to, or when there's pods of people talking and I'm just kind of standing there, like I would have whipped out my phone, started looking through Facebook or something just to make me feel not as awkward, make me feel like I'm not this sore thumb sticking out person who doesn't have anybody to talk to. But I just felt so comfortable, safe, wanted, embraced. Even those moments where I was just standing by myself, I was just standing by myself. I didn't feel the need to fix this anxious feeling because there was no anxious feeling. So not only did I feel comfortable, but again, as God demolishes those lies, the opposite things started to happen. I had people coming up to me, engaging with me, saying how they were excited to meet me, saying that they'd been watching my YouTubes, which is so amazing. Like, I just wanting to get to know me and thinking that I was cool. And that may sound really like prideful or something, but really all of us are cool. All of us have so much to offer the world and friendship and relationship that we need to stop thinking so negatively of ourselves. I think as women and as Christian women, we get told so often, like, don't be prideful, don't be haughty, pride comes before a fall, be humble. Like, and yes, that is true. We shouldn't just be out there for the top ridiculous braggarts or being insensitive to the needs and the perspectives of others. But come on, let's be proud of who we are. Let's be proud of the people that we have worked hard to become. Let's be proud of who God made us to be, because we're pretty darn awesome. And when we can embrace that, when we can get out of agreement, when we can stop accepting this negative narrative of ourselves, when we reject that and we can live in the truth of who we are, there is freedom and there is joy, and we get to just be more authentic to who we are, which allows us to be in more authentic and real relationship with people, which is really at the end of the day what we all want. So I am choosing to reject that narrative. Now that doesn't mean that I don't sometimes still get anxious and sometimes feel a little bit awkward, but I'm no longer going to speak that truth over myself, because that is not the Matina that God made me to be. So I ask you and I challenge you, whether you are feeling really stuck or you have just embraced a narrative that is not what God designed for you, what narrative are you living with? And are you brave enough to get out of agreement with it, to reject it, and to begin living as God made you to be?